Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Nine Hole Podcast. This is David and Ian. David, appreciate you joining again, man. What's going on?
Living the dream, man. It's Sunday. I live for the weekends now. The older you get, you finish up that work week, and then actually Sundays are kind of stressful sometimes because you're like, oh crap, I got so much to get done for Monday. But
I watered the garden this morning, dude.
nice.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
getting
yeah.
old, dude.
No kidding. No kidding. A couple of years ago, we were playing baseball. Now we're doing father duties, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No kidding, bro. So what else is going on with you? Do anything fun this weekend or what?
No, this weekend nothing. Last weekend I was in Arizona for my little cousin's bachelor kind of golf trip, and it wasn't like a bachelor party where we got all crazy, but it was like we're seriously dedicated to like golf.
Getting after it.
Yeah, which was really fun. I got to see some of my old teammates and kind of like what you just stated, like the things that we talk about now are so weird, like our yards or our utility bills or something. And I'm like, what has happened to us?
Yeah, dude. Life's changing quick, huh?
Yeah, our
Interest,
investments.
interest. Yeah, dude. It's wild.
It's
It's
not even
wild.
necessarily that like I'm interested more in that stuff. It's just like you almost have to be. You
It's
got like
almost a way of life now. You got to start
yeah,
thinking about it.
yeah. I can't be talking about skateboarding and just whatever random shit I was into when I was 17.
Talking side hustles and stuff now.
Yeah. It's like, oh, well, I invested in this new company. You should check them out. Oh, okay, I'll do that.
That's a scary world out there, dude.
Yeah.
Scary world, man. But I guess that kind of ties into nicely what we were gonna think about touching on today, man. Kind of like money in the game of baseball. Um, obviously, the baseball contracts are crazy today. The years, the amount of money owed to these players, the guaranteed money. It's absolutely crazy. Touch a little bit about the number one pick this year, what that player is going to make. Talk a little bit about college baseball money. That guess we'll just get into it.
Yeah.
So next level baseball is a says national ranked travel organization. Former MLB scouting supervisor. So it's a legit baseball account, right? So they had just recently put out a tweet or two talking about NIL money in college baseball, right? So this tweet right here um, from June 9th says some schools are paying coaches more than major league coaches and managers. They're handing out $100,000 NIL deals and $100,000 NIL, contracts, $100,000 money to players like it's candy. And Boston College is getting rid of a stud because of budgetary constraints. So that was one of their assistant coaches. I guess what I was reading, they poured all this money into the program. Comparable programs are able to offer their players, great great deal, great deals, great money, NIL money. It's just prevalent in the sport today, man. Like they're saying they're making a case that the NCAA has made a mockery of college baseball. This is just one of the tweets that I'll touch on, man. Um, what do you think about that, dude? Like, would a certain NIL deal or a certain amount of money that would be guaranteed to you if you showed up on campus, like, could that be the game changer for you? Would that factor into your decision if you were going through this right now, coming out of college? Like, you're a stud, dude. Would this influence anything for you? Would this type of money influence your decision?
Yeah. It's weird because like when I was younger, I was raised with really old school values. You got a chance to talk to my dad and
Yeah, yeah,
Randy Johnson, and they came up in a different era where it was hard work and you work harder than the next guy and good things will come. You know, but in today's game, in today's world, I mean, we live in a very capitalistic society where money does talk. And if I was a younger kid, it's going to be hard to give advice to a 20-year-old when now at 33 with a family and different priorities. Like money, unfortunately, it sounds horrible because I've never really stressed about money, cared about money, wanted to make more money than anyone else, but like it's so necessary. It's just necessary evil. So if especially with a kid that some big pick or some big prospect coming up, he could go tear his ACL, playing shortstop, sliding into second base wrong, have a fracture his tibia or something, and
yeah.
then be done. And he never gets. He's like, I was gonna be top top 5 rounds, and how many stories you've heard like that. But I tore my elbow or something. So like, if there's guaranteed money out there, I can't tell people not to pursue that. I mean, it kind of relates to it, but like the PGA, the golf association,
Mm,
they were so judgmental and talked so much down on the live golfers
yeah,
for going over there, and those guys were just going like, "Hey, I don't know how much longer I'm going to play golf. Like, I'm going to go get my money."
yeah,
And they were like,
absolutely.
Saudi Arabia and the attacks on September 11th and all that stuff. They were saying like, if you go over here, you're doing this, this, and this, and then it just goes to show you even more money talks, because the PGA just joined forces with the live because of money. And to me, it's unfortunate. I mean, raising a kid in today's society, like you want to raise them the right way. You want to help them out with all that stuff. But like, one of the biggest professional sports organizations in the world are massive hypocrites because of money. Like, they
Yeah,
realize
no
that we don't
shit.
have that type of backing. So like, how do you tell a young kid if some NIL deal comes through and he's about to go to play baseball at Duke or something, and he might not see the field for 3 years, 2 years, whatever, but you can have $120,000 up front, come do a couple commercials, local commercials for a car wash. Like,
Yeah,
I wouldn't tell
how
him,
you
I
say
can't tell him
no?
no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
1,000%. Another tweet. This was from the 7th, June 7th. So Power Five schools are passing out $100,000 NIL money to players like candy. Said that again. Um, Players, get every damn dime you can get. The NCAA has lost its mind, and college athletics are being absolutely destroyed in capital letters. If you're a dude, if you're a stud, 100% scholarship and $100,000 starts the conversation if they want you. Um, Also said, players, you have to be a physical, tooled up badass before asking for it. But if you're a badass, get your dough. Show me the money.
Yeah.
Um, Dude, 100% scholarship, $100,000. Does that get your foot in the door? What are you advising? A player in that type of situation to do? Would you tell them to like, hey, look, you weigh your options, do your pros and your cons, right? See what's best and what's worst about all options and situations. But like
I
at the
think
end
that
of the day,
varies. That varies because like these programs that are offering that are probably pretty good programs, like winning tradition.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
like a Alabama or a Tennessee or Florida State, kind of caliber of a team. So it's not like you can go, okay, this program develops their players a little better. This one doesn't. Like, you're not talking to NAIA school compared to a Florida State. You're probably talking to Florida State versus a Virginia.
yeah,
It's like, which one do I want to go to? And this is now public information, but this has been going on for years, since like the
yeah.
beginning. I mean, Najee Harris, the running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers, he went on a podcast, or the Sunday Conversation with Caleb Presley. I don't know if you've ever seen those, a Barstool guy, and they're really awkward conversations. But he was asking him about how much money he got, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Was it?" He basically admitted, like, "Oh yeah, I got this, this, and this."
Really,
Yeah, I mean, these guys are. It's not well known information, but now it's coming to light that these guys were receiving massive paychecks. I
yeah.
mean,
It's always been prevalent.
yeah, one of my best friends played football at Iowa State, and he'd get like $1,000 for winter clothes, like coats, and
Nice.
just a check. Yeah,
That's not bad. It's not bad at
no,
all, dude.
I mean, it's hard because like I think if you had a dream, if you were like a stud and you could pick a litter, the first pressing concern would be like, am I going to enter the draft or going to go make money? I mean, I feel
Gotcha.
like if a guy that
Could this
was that,
propel me to the big
yeah,
leagues? Like my decision here. If I go to this school, could it propel me to the big leagues? Maybe number two, like, am I gonna get crazy money to go here? Obviously the scholarship matters, but like could I make money going here? You know what I mean? Maybe
yeah.
that factors into number two.
Well, I mean, you could probably vouch for this, but like, I was watching a little bit of the super regionals right now, and there was some really good players playing, guys that were 90, 94 and stuff, and
Yeah,
like, it's nothing against them, and they could have a beautiful career, but the odds of that happening are like next to none. The odds of them getting to double A are very, very slim. And I
Yeah,
was
it's
talking to
crazy,
my
dude.
cousin. Yeah, I was talking to my cousin who's now at a D2 in Kansas right now. He's like, man, that guy's so good and stuff. And he's like, what happened? But like 2 years ago, I was watching this guy and I was like, what's his name? I'll look him up. And like, he was some stud in a regional, and then now he's out of baseball.
It's
So like,
wild.
it's hard. Like,
Super
I don't have the
competitive.
best advice. Like, you get your money when you can, because the odds of you actually making it, and as a coach and as a, a future parent to a little boy that wants to play, or daughter going to college or whatever, like, how do you navigate that? I don't know.
Beats me.
Yeah, it's hard because like you want them to have their dreams, you want them to have their goals and desires and everything, but you also have to be realistic. And a lot of these parents I work with right now are not realistic at all.
Got you.
You
Okay,
know,
that makes sense. I
so
like
like
that.
it translates back to what we were saying. Like, if you have an opportunity to go make a full scholarship, which that scholarship, say you go to school for 3 years, 4 years, whatever, that little piece of paper, that degree, because I've been out of baseball now for 4 years and had three different career jobs, and two out of the three were like, what did you get your degree in? Where'd you go to school? Like, that's
Got you.
important. And I'm like, well, I had different life experiences and different, you know, environments that made me who I am, and this is why I'm going to be successful.
Yeah,
Because I don't have a degree. I have an associate's, and I went to school for 3 years, and I got drafted. Like, I got a chance to play.
for sure.
I got right out of school. I jumped into, or right out of baseball, I jumped into a career.
I get it, dude. I get it. I mean, talking about this NIL money a little bit, it's like your number one goal, I guess, if you have a bunch of scholarships, if you're a stud, right? If you're a dude, like the next level baseball is talking about, and you have your pick of where you want to go, right? And there's different NIL offers out there for you. Maybe there's a six-figure NIL offer. Oh, I could go there for 100% scholarship and 100 grand NIL money my first year, maybe my second and third year. Maybe I can make a $500,000 there in 3 years NIL
Yeah,
money. Like, dude, that's great. That's a lot, but that's nothing compared to professional baseball money, dude.
that's what I'm saying. What is
Right?
the
If you're a
first pick getting?
stud,
9 million
dude,
this year.
9.7, nine
It's
point seven,
ridiculous.
dude.
Almost
That's
$10 million.
that's generational wealth if you're not an idiot. Like,
Yeah,
you could set up family members that you won't even meet,
yeah.
like
You could
down
live
your
off the
your
dividends of
lineage.
some
Yeah, dude.
investment the rest of your life.
It's nothing, man. So it's like, man, these if these institutions, if these colleges are going to be able to like dangle some money in front of these players to help them make the decision, I mean, obviously that's satisfying up front for these players, right? Because you go to school and you're a broke college student, dude. Like, that's what it is. Your parents, or whatever the circumstance is, your parents help you out. You try to get, a job when you can. It's tough when you're an athlete, right? You're playing college sport, but I don't know, man. In the long term, if it's about like what's going to propel you to the best chances of making it to the big leagues, or making it to the draft, making it to the
Hmm.
professional ranks in your sport in baseball, like, I'm going where the opportunity is the best, and where the coaching staff is the best, right? I'm not necessarily going to
The money.
where that NIL money is, dude, because that NIL money, you look around, you see players driving, BMWs, Bentleys, and shit in college now. NIL money, $500,000 in NIL money if you're crazy. It's like, dude, that's nothing compared to professional sports, dude. It's
Yeah.
nothing. That's
And you want
nothing.
to be a college kid
It's
that
nothing.
goes back to your hometown and like, oh man, that guy was a stud in college. You want
Yeah,
to be a kid that's like 5, 6, 7 years in the big leagues and
yeah.
has a pension that he could live off of
Could do
the rest
whatever
of
you
his
want.
life. You know?
Yeah, man. For sure. So it's crazy how it's kind of getting to be about the money now, especially in college sports, man. But that money in pro ball, in the
Yeah,
draft, in the big leagues, like that money you're seeing in NIL money is fantastic, but it's nothing compared to what you're
yeah.
gonna make.
And that was all started with like in the early '90s. Major League Baseball players went on strike, and my dad was actually on the players board for that.
No
Um,
shit.
but I don't know if everyone realizes this, but like in Major League Baseball, if you sign a contract, that money is guaranteed. Football players, like they'll sign some $40 million contract, 10 million guaranteed. Like if you get hurt, if you get blown out, you get $10 million, which is great. But you could have had 30 more.
Yeah.
And you see these guys signing 300, $400 million contracts, and like you mentioned on your notes, Jacob deGrom. He is one of the most generational talents I've ever seen. I think he has the best stuff. As a former pitcher, watching him effortlessly throw a baseball with his stride length, with his arm position, like his body moves in ways a human body really shouldn't. And he has like six different
Breezing
pitches
100
from,
plus.
yeah, from the same arm slot. I mean, he's just gross. But you look at like his time with the Mets, and I thought about this: was he doing that on purpose? Like he was always kind of hurt, but he wasn't hurt, and then the Rangers gave him this massive contract. So it made me think: like, did he sit down with the Rangers and say, "No, I wasn't hurt. I wanted to get out of New York. I'm good to go. I'm fine." But then there's another pillar in the back of my head where I'm like, did his agent say, "Go tell them what they need to hear. Your elbow's barking at you. Go get your money."
That makes sense. I
That's kind of
could,
scary because
yeah, dude.
it's all business, especially for a guy like that. Like he's got this crazy contract. He's going to go have a second Tommy John surgery, but his money is guaranteed. I
That's
don't think any other
insane.
sport is guaranteed like that.
Nah, nah, nah. So, where was it? Yeah. So it says Jacob deGrom, right, with the Tommy John surgery. He'll
Yeah,
probably miss next year too. Probably in quotations. Obviously, everybody kind of heals and gets back at their own pace, but they can give a probable timetable, especially with a big investment like that, dude. 5 year, $185 million. 5 year, $185 million. Just right, just signed.
yeah,
Um, dude, this article is talking about like other big name pitchers that have signed these deals, man. That have gotten injuries. Like DeGrom's surgery followed the sad news that 34-year-old Steven Strasburg might have thrown his final pitch of his career. $245 million contract. Has made 8 starts since the Nationals won the World Championship 4 years ago. Um, the injuries to these two aces certainly reveal the risks of signing pitchers to these long-term big contracts. Dude, Seattle Mariners, Robbie Ray signed a 5 year, $115 million contract. He made 1 start, had to get TJ. Carlos Rodon, $162 million deal this past offseason, yet to pitch this year. Back issues and a sore forearm, dude. Chris Sale signed a $145 million extension, didn't kick in until 2020. He's missed a lot of time, dude. So it's like these stud pitchers that influence ball games to the max. I mean, they're signing these big guaranteed deals. They're getting hurt, man. Maybe
yeah.
they might not come back the same way. Like, what was Tommy John like for you? I mean, could you imagine being in the midst of your first year of a 5 year, $185 million contract and like having to come back and prove that you can play up to that caliber? Imagine the pressure there, especially being like, in Texas, that fan base. I don't know, dude. Would you be able to do all that?
I think it's a fine line because I can't speak for the work ethic of Jacob deGrom. I'm sure he works his ass off. He's a freak, but for me, I had kind of like a chip on my shoulder. I
Got
signed
you.
for $3,000. I had no money invested in me. They gave me, a surgery because they said I could go with the team Mariners team doctor and it was free, or I could go to like a Andrews or something and they'd give me like they'd pay for a quarter of it or something like that. I don't something
Okay.
weird. So I was like, yeah, I'll go with the Mariners team doctor. Like I did some research and it was fine. But for me, I didn't have that much. I was still working to get paid. I think I can relate it to like a running back in football. A guy like Ezekiel Elliott, right? He works his ass off. He's the best rusher in football. He gets this massive contract. He's not hitting the hole as hard. He's not blocking as easy or like as well. Once those guys get paid, you see a little bit of like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They pull back a little bit. They
yeah,
don't have to maybe risk it every single play, every single
yeah.
snap, every single
And
pitch. Like,
unless you're like a guy like Scherzer, who's just like a cage animal. Every time he
yeah,
takes a man that mound, like you go get the ball from him, and he's like trying to like eat the manager's face. I can tell he's like, "Get away from me! I want the ball." I think those are few far in between though, like few and far in between because most guys aren't like that. I mean, guys make it to the big leagues, they get certified, established. I mean, a Nolan Arenado, we talked about this before. Like, I feel like that guy he's going to be 67 years old playing cornhole in his backyard, getting into argument with his
yeah,
neighbor,
trying to win.
because he's like, yeah, dude, you choke across the line. So those guys are a different breed. Um, a guy like Chris Sale that was one of the best pitchers in baseball for 5, 6, 7 years,
Yeah,
something like that.
dominant dude.
Um, he's fallen off a little bit, and that's, I mean, it could be his health. It could be guys knowing his stuff better. I mean, the analytics are crazy now. The video is crazy now. But what's crazy about these massive contracts that are coming out, I think it was when we were like in 2019. Do you remember there was a left fielder for the Diamondbacks? It might have been Yosmani Tomas. That might not be right, but he had some crazy year with the Diamondbacks, like in the big leagues, like in like 2016 or something. It was like a stud from Cuba or something. They gave
Played
him,
against him in Reno, dude. I think I
yeah,
know who you're talking
Reno,
about.
and they gave him like some crazy like millions, multiple $1 million contract, and then he was in AAA because he had one good year, and then they were like, "What do we do with this guy? We paid him a shitload of money, but we can't just go release him because they're gonna have to keep paying him."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Get some
I
type of
mean,
return on your investment.
yeah, the Yankees do it all the time. The Yankees will give some guy some massive contract, and they're such a professional organization that they're like, okay, if you're not putting out, like, we're gonna get ready and find someone else that does. But they'll continue to pay on that guy's contract while he's playing for the Oakland A's.
Yeah,
It's
that's nuts.
yeah,
That's
it'd be
nuts.
weird.
Paying
Like,
your
oh, this guy
competition,
still is owed $30 million from the Yankees, but the he's playing
he's
for the
playing for the
A's.
Phillies. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
playing for somebody else.
yeah,
That's
it's insane.
that's crazy. Talking about next, like with the Yankees. You just talked about the Yankees for a little bit, dude. Aaron Boone. So
Oh yeah,
the Yankees manager just got a 1 game suspension for 2 ejections in his last 4 games, and he's been tossed 30 times in 5+ seasons as a manager. Players like Aaron Judge have come out saying they like it, they love the passion, fires them up. They're trying to recount their most favorite, memorable time that he's been
gum
ejected. Right,
throw.
gum throwing, doing shit with his hat.
Yeah,
Um, so obviously, it's got a positive impact. I guess in the clubhouse, in the bench, the players are seeing it. Their managers standing up for him, fighting for him. What's your take on that, dude? Have you ever really had a manager that would stick up for their guys so much that, dude, they would just risk their own reputation, their own participation in the game, right? If they get tossed, they're out. Um, did you specifically have any managers that would like just go balls to the wall, calling out an umpire, arguing that maybe he's been tossed a couple times? And what kind of impact
yeah.
has that had on the team that you were playing for, if you've had that?
I'd be curious to see or like sit down with Aaron Boone and talk to him about that because like we all have like a breaking point. I've had moments where like I was in control and then like something clicked and then like 5 minutes later I'm like, what just happened? Because my
Yeah,
anger or emotions or whatever got the best of me. And I'd be curious to see if like Aaron Boone, had that happen a couple times and now it's almost like a transitioned into this kind of like joke or whatever. Like, oh, what's Booney gonna do today? And now he has like to almost like reach that level every time.
yeah,
It's like, well,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've already got to the top and threw my gum and freaked out and threw my hat. Like, if I'm going to get ejected, I'm going to get ejected. I mean, Lou Piniella with the Mariners in the '90s was the same way, taking bags off the bases and throwing them and
Yeah, I've
all that
seen videos of
stuff.
that.
Yeah, I had a guy named Jerry Weinstein in Double A who's like 5'4", 70 something years old, but that dude had our back so hard. Um, but it was like in a good way. I mean, he's like a published author. He does this like, I mean, he's done very well for himself in the game. Coached Team Israel, but he was
Ooh,
so honest to the point where it pissed me off. Like if I had like a good outing or bad outing, he'd be like, "No, you missed this spot, this spot, this spot," and I was like, "Dude,
I
I
get
had
that.
managers, and do you remember Jose Moreno?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I saw
He
him
was
in
coaching
rookie
in
ball.
Venezuela.
Yeah, I saw him eat the lineup one time after we lost. Like he took
He
the paper, crinkled it up, and just like put it in his mouth and ate it.
What?
Yeah, I mean, some of those managers are so they got to screw loose,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't think
Okay.
Aaron Boone does. I think Aaron Boone was a good player, but he wasn't some superstar. He had the walk off home run. He was known for that, and then kind of whatever. But I think those make the best managers.
Yeah. The
Uh,
even keel,
yeah, the
like,
guys that were like, "Hey, I was good, but I played with a lot better."
got
I
it,
think
as
that's
opposed to
why
the superstars
yeah, I
taking
think that's
over.
why I'm a decent pitching coach because I had to figure out a lot on my own. And I don't think there's
Gotcha.
one right way to throw a baseball. I think there's checkpoints you got to hit and all that. But yeah, as a player, if I think it's a fine line again, because if it's happening all the time and you're like in center field and you're like, come on, man, like here we go again, or is it like almost orchestrated to pump your guys up in a certain
Yeah.
way?
Yeah.
You
It's a
know, you got to
tactical move.
pick and choose. I mean, did
Dude,
you have who was like, the Double A manager? Brownie, wasn't he good?
Darren Brown, yeah, he's fantastic. But his coaching style, right? So I had Darren Brown multiple years, multiple levels.
Yeah.
And he was the base running and bunting coordinator when I was in the low minor leagues. So like I got to know him pretty well pretty early. Um, and I actually just talked to him the other day. But dude, yeah, his coaching style was a little bit more like relaxed, low key. So Brownie really didn't show a lot of emotion. I've seen him get tossed a couple times in my career, but he was fantastic. Loved it. But I had Marty Peavy was the Iowa Cubs AAA manager. I had him. I was in the alternate site in 2020 with the
Oh yeah.
Cubs. He was kind of like running the show there. He was like the manager there for the alternate site. And then I had him in 2021 as my AAA manager. And that was the first time, like I said, Darren Brown, awesome coach. He practically raised me in baseball. But Marty Peavy, like, he was no bullshit. He would tell it like it is. Not saying that Brownie wouldn't, but he just on the field, like he's chirping at other teams. He's chirping at other coaches. He's chirping at the batters in the batter's box, like in a good way. It's all. Everybody loves Marty Peavy. He's awesome. He's just old school as shit. And like, dude, would give it to the umpires, man. No, would tolerate nothing. Would tolerate nothing. And he got thrown out so many times early. Dude, we were getting our asses kicked. Like, dude, our record was terrible. We started off slow. It was like a revolving door of players up and down because of COVID and shit. So like, we didn't have a complete roster. We were calling dudes up that haven't played past A ball. You know what I mean? And so we're just getting smashed all the time, dude. So Marty Peavy, I'm sure he reached some breaking points, dude. But the guys that were there consistently, right? Not the revolving, the players that were
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Like, I was there. I knew that he had his guys back, right? Like nothing would go by him without like him chirping or him like putting people in check, especially umpires that would miss calls. Like he was cool with all the managers, all the coaches, all the players, all the umpires. But like, dude, he would keep everybody in check, and like that would fire me up, dude. I seen him get ejected so many times that they threatened like, hey, we're gonna have to like suspend you. Like he got thrown out so many times in 2021 in the beginning. I forget what it was. He had to do a couple courses, like online courses about anger management. Dude's not an angry
Yeah.
dude. He's
Passionate.
he's a sweetheart, man. But like he got thrown out so many times in such a short amount of period. They were like, hey, dude, you gotta calm down, or like we're gonna have to suspend you, or like you're gonna have to come back after the All-Star break or some shit. I forget what it was, but like they were like, hey, dude, you gotta calm down. It's
Well, I think for
crazy.
me, the best point to this whole thing is like you need to know what to expect or know what you're going to get from your manager. Like if a guy like Aaron Boone just randomly freaks out in a certain situation, and then the next time it happens, he doesn't, and you're like, wait, I thought I thought that was kind of like his tipping
Yeah,
point, strike three call or whatever.
he's not consistent with it. He's like,
Yeah. So yeah,
who is
if you
this
get to
guy?
the field, know your manager's going to have your back. You know that if the umpire is squeezing you, if the other team is, doing some bush league stuff, you know that someone's got your back day
Yeah,
in day out. But I had some managers that I never knew that there was more of like a business to them. They were working to get to the next level, just like I was, and they really couldn't care less if I gave up 7 runs or gave up one. If I dominated or like they were like, "Hey, great job, man," but like I'm gonna go fill out my report and
yeah,
turn it in, and I'm gonna be the best. I'm gonna get to the big leagues. Like those guys are still trying in the minor leagues are still trying to get to the big leagues too. But the guys I respected the most were kind of wear their heart on the sleeve a little bit. You could their door was always open. You could talk to
yes,
them about family issues, talk to them about mental stuff, baseball, whatever. But those are the guys I loved. But the guys that I
for
could tell
sure.
were there for themselves a little bit, I was like, I'm not messing with you.
Dude, I get that. I respect that 100%. I'm thinking back to like talking about what you're gonna get out of your manager, and I'm just
Hmm.
thinking about maybe Boone was arguing balls and strikes. They said I think one of the times he got ejected, he was arguing balls and strikes. They're implementing this robotic umpire shit in the minor leagues, right? There's talk about it being in AAA, and dude, what do you got on that? What do you got on that? What's that going to do for baseball? Like, what
Yeah.
could it potentially do? What could it potentially hurt?
As a pitcher, and I say this, like if you miss a spot and you get a call or something, like it's almost like a chess match a little bit, because if I don't show up the umpire, when I throw a baseball right down the middle and he goes, ball, like how I respond to that could
Has
dictate the whole,
influence.
yeah, could dictate the whole game. If
It's a
I
game
go,
within
all
a
right,
game.
yeah, if I get the ball back and I go, okay, he missed one. But if I'm going, Billy, man, what are you doing? Like, I was right down the middle.
Billy.
I throw one down the middle again. He could be like, ball two. Like you just showed me up in front of 15, 50,000 people.
Yeah.
Like, so I like the human error that's involved in human umpires.
Yeah. The human
You know what I mean?
element of it.
Yeah. But if there's robots or they're using like the little StatCast strike zone, like I think that takes away from the purity of the game. And we've
I get it.
already taken away a lot of the pureness of baseball already. Some of it I think could be for the best, but it's too early to tell. But if they start saying robots are running baseball, I'm not happy with that.
Yeah. Game over, dude. So they're already doing the abbreviated step out stuff in between pitches. You know what I mean? You can't step out, adjust your batting gloves, right? There's I mean you can, but you got to be attentive to
Quick
the
with it, yeah.
pitcher within 8 seconds, all that stuff. Talking about they throwing over, they're controlling the running game or lack thereof, right? Because you can only throw over a certain amount of times, and it's like, dude, stuff's changing quick, man. Stuff's changing quick. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like if and when they implement this robotic ump type stuff, man. We experienced it in like for the first time they're messing around with it in the alternate site, right? So we were, experiencing doing different things. They had crowd noises. You would practice under those conditions. They would implement the robotic strike zone, the TrackMan strike zone with when pitchers were throwing live, just to kind of like get you ready for maybe what was coming, or try it out at these alternate sites. The stats
Yeah.
aren't real, right? It's you can mess around with stuff. And dude, I just remember it being like uncalibrated a little bit. So like it would catch. Think about how the width of the
It's
plate.
technology, yeah.
If it's off even a little bit, it shifts everything. Like so, it would be calling balls and strikes a little off. Stuff that you knew was outside
Yeah.
off the plate, and you could see video of it the next day when the uploadings were recorded. It's like, dude, this machine was set up off the plate a little bit. Somebody fucked it up. Something's going on with it.
Yeah.
It's just off. Like, dude, come on. Or
Hold on,
like
we're
it's
gonna take a
catching stuff in
TV
the
timeout here to recalibrate
yeah.
the strike zone.
Was that a
Yeah.
strike? Yeah, dude. And
Yeah.
then it's crazy. I don't know what it's going to do for the game, but it's like taking away that human element of it
Yeah.
is.
Well, I'm pretty biased here, but I'm a former pitcher. What out of these new changes are to benefit the pitcher in any way? I understand nowadays guys are 97, 99, 100 with 93 mile an hour sliders that move side to side when batters are now taught launch angle. And so, I mean, it changes every couple of years, whatever. But bigger bases, you can only pick off so many times.
Yeah, dude. What do you think that's going to do for stolen base numbers and
That's what
runs
I'm
and
saying.
like ERAs? So like, okay, not to totally just hijack this conversation.
Yeah, you're good.
My bad. You're right. You're 100% everything you're saying. 2017, 2019 was when they had those hard balls, right? The
Yep.
balls were wound tighter.
Got my
So
ass
people
kicked.
are, right? I actually was hitting home runs, right? It's a hard ball. It's flying, dude. Everybody's hitting home runs. Runs are up, scores are up. So the pitcher's numbers are down,
Mhm.
right? That was 2019. Then they kind of messed with the ball. They did away with it. And then, pitchers are able to use sticky stuff, whatever it is. Like the pitchers are going up. The pitching statistics are going up. Maybe the hitters are going down. The ball's different. The ball's moving more is what it is. Now the numbers are down. The pitchers' numbers are up, and then they're policing it. They're like, okay,
Yeah.
now we're doing these checks in between innings to kind of even out the playing field. And now it's like they're also trying to make the pace of play and it be a little bit more sexier to fans and like get more viewers and all this stuff. But it's like now it's their runs are up, it's like stolen bases are up, games, runs per game are up, pitchers' numbers are down. It's like they go to arbitration at the ass end of this year, at the back end of this year. It's like all their numbers are going to be kind of
Yeah,
different, kind of crappy than what they're used to. Maybe they'll get less money than they're probably owed because their numbers are. So it's like there's a valid point there, dude. They're
it's
gonna
really
have
hard.
to they're gonna have to even it back out, right, and implement something that kind of maybe make the playing field a little bit more even or level.
I think if we could take a step back and realize, especially now, like being in like business and stuff, like if we can look back, disassociate ourselves with former players, and look at Major League Baseball as a huge business. That's really what it is. Like, I'm biased, I'm passionate because I played, sure. But there's guys that are investing and making millions and millions of dollars. I mean, these TV contracts that they signed for the Los Angeles Dodgers with some local TV, it's five, six, almost $1 billion, crazy money. So they need to keep and retain fans. And the youth nowadays, it doesn't have the retention or the attention span of former guys. We went to
Yeah,
we were just in Arizona for that golf trip. My former teammate, my buddy, is a setup man for the Diamondbacks right now. They were playing the Braves. Diamondbacks right now are in first place. Braves are in first place in their respective divisions. This game was like an hour and 40 minutes long. I'm not kidding. And it was, this sounds silly, but it was like electric.
really.
It was an awesome game. I mean, deep fly balls, like unreal plays in center field. Closer came in, Miguel Castro. He was with the Rockies for a little bit. Like walked the first dude or something. Like I think there was 34,000 people there, so it's like a
Damn.
little undersold. But I mean, man, it was loud. It was wild. People were into it. So like I'm all for that. Before it was like a 3 hour game and someone picks off 17 times to hold the runner, which is like the part of the chess match, But
Yeah, playing matchups and stuff.
yeah, as a business, like you need butts in the seats, you need viewers, you need home runs, you need 100 miles an hour, like all that stuff. So like it's hard. I mean, I'm like 70-30. I'm like 70% like, hey, don't mess with a good thing, but also 30% like, hey, they gotta find ways to make
Yeah,
money.
bring it back, dude. I get it. I feel the same way. It's like not that I'm afraid of change, but obviously, if I don't, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah.
I'm not a baseball, IQ pro, dude. I don't know everything about the game. I don't know, I don't sit there and watch 9 innings of baseball. So I understand that, now that I'm not playing, I'm not watching 9 innings of baseball. So if there are ways that you can kind of enhance that experience for the overall, the overall experience for the viewer, whether it be a 75-year-old man or a 15-year-old, boy, I guess if you can speed it up, you speed it up. If you can make the action happen a little bit more frequently, you do it, and that's kind of where we're at. So I get it too, man. Makes sense to me.
Yeah. And again, I go back because I'm a former pitcher and I feel like a lot of these changes are to help benefit the hitter, but also people, especially younger kids. And I mean, you bring your aunt to a baseball game. She's not going to be like, "Hey, why do you throw that 0-2 change up there?" When like they're not. The average fan isn't diving deep into the stats and the back and forth between the hitter and the pitcher.
Yeah,
They're just there to see fireworks. Like, hey, that was a crazy double play, or man, you see that 480-foot home run, or man, that guy was throwing 100 miles an hour. Like you kind of have to like separate yourself and be like, what does the average person want to see here? You go to a football game, they want to see a 80-yard completion. They want to see some crazy run by the running back. They want to see a big hit on a quarterback. And football's, I mean, massive now.
yeah,
So
it's
I think
crazy.
baseball is just trying to keep up with the times.
Yeah,
And I mean, my dad's talked about this. We've talked about this, but like everything is on our phones now, so quick and instant that you go to a baseball game, and I don't think someone wants to see a 2-1 ball game and Greg Maddux goes a complete game shutout with
yeah.
18 ground balls.
It's not.
I
It's
would
not
love
why they're
watching
showing
that.
up. Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's not why they're showing up. They want to see, Aaron Judge hitting home runs and
yeah,
people throwing
being
104.
6'7", 275 pounds, like That's not a normal looking person. You go see
I
that
get it.
guy in the mall, and you're like, what?
Yeah,
Yeah. But that's another thing I love. Like, it's completely different. But Jose Altuve is one of the better players in baseball, and he's 5'6",
yeah, little guy,
170 pounds.
bite size.
Yeah, that's what I love about baseball. He's like, you can be an Aaron Judge, or you can be a Jose Altuve, and still be,
Influence the outcome of a
yeah,
game. Be a stud.
yeah, it's huge, and that's the beautiful thing about baseball. And I hope that doesn't change, because if a kid came to me for lessons, I'd be like, it doesn't matter. You might be 5'10", and you could be throwing 95. Like, I mean, there's so many different elements that go into that, but
Yeah.
you could be super fast. Like, yeah, if you want to go play offensive lineman, you need to be 6'6", 300 pounds.
Yes, for sure.
It's
But in
different.
baseball, it's not like that.
No.
About okay, I got one last thing we'll hit on before we get out of here, dude. So we talked a little bit about the number one pick this year in the draft is slotted. The slot value is $9,721,000. So that is up almost 10% from last year, from the 2022 draft. The first pick was slotted value of $8,846,000. So up 10%, man. That is, 9.7 million is a lot of money. We were just talking a little bit about the NIL money that these college athletes, these college baseball players may be, open to, maybe having like dangled in front of them to make a decision. Oh, you want 100% scholarship and 100 grand? Here you go. Well, it's like, dude, you know what 100 grand versus 9.721 million
Yeah.
is? That's peanuts, dude. Um, but like that money is crazy. Obviously, baseball money is crazy, especially with it being guaranteed. You can kind of structure it the way you want, right? Maybe you don't need to get it paid out all up front. Maybe you can space it out year round. Obviously, there's you'd have to negotiate this stuff into your contract. But if you're getting that money, if you're getting that life changing money, you are the number one pick, or your son is the number one pick in this year's draft. What are you advising your son to do in that moment with that money, with that life changing money? What would you tell them to do with what you've experienced, and what you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think if you invest it right, that's hard. I mean, I go back to a guy like Danny Holtzen, number 2 pick overall. I think he signed, I mean, it was a crazy record breaking back then. But Danny went to a prep school, all boys Catholic school. He's a crazy, intelligent, hardworking guy, but he didn't have that, like, I mean, he still worked so hard, the hardest working guy I've ever met.
Yeah, dude.
But if you invest that money correctly, which I think Danny has done, like Danny asked me the other day, like, hey, what do you think I should do for like a career? Like, I'm coaching baseball right now, but I want to maybe someday do something else. And he doesn't need a job. He really doesn't. And this first pick, getting $9.7 million, he doesn't get all that, obviously. Um, but if you invest that money correctly and you go, and it depends, like there's different types of work ethic and everything. But if this kid is an animal, um, and if it's a high school kid, college kid, that varies a lot, because all the high school kids I've ever played with have no common sense. Like
Yes.
they haven't been around life long enough.
Yeah. So like they need that guidance.
Yeah.
They would need,
Yeah,
a
you get a
support
financial
system there.
advisor,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
get a financial advisor, get your own mental strength coach. I mean, get a chef. Like, if you have that type of money, I would put all my eggs into one basket to be the best physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, every you can be, with the money that was provided to me to be the number one pick.
So you would take that money and you would invest in yourself and make
Yes, I would
yourself
invest
better
in
in all
myself.
facets.
Sure,
All
if
facets.
my parents owed $150,000 on their mortgage or something, I'm paying that off.
Yeah.
I'm not getting some crazy car that depreciates as soon as I drive it off the lot. I'm getting a nice car, sure, but nothing insane. But I am investing in myself. I'm investing in books, yoga, like
Yeah, yeah.
workout routine. I mean, anything and everything I could to get me better. I would get a team, like an actual team, in
Yes.
the off season to guide me, to kind
Structure
of,
everything.
yeah, hold my hand.
Keep you on track.
Yeah.
Dude, absolutely. So
And
let's
then I'm
say
sorry.
let's
Yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
my only concern my entire life really has been money. I've never once had that feeling where like I'm good. I got no stress. And they say money doesn't buy happiness, but I would much rather be sad just with like everyday shit, but know that like I'm okay. My kids are okay. My parents are okay financially because I'm sorry, but like that's why we work. That's why we do a job. And this, like I told you earlier, this is my third career job, and every job I've made more money. And I don't want to sound like an asshole, but that's why I work. That's why I'm going to give you every ounce of me and who I am and for a company so I can make money. And if you had a
Yeah.
chance to make life-changing money, I mean that's it right there. But if you could still work hard and prove, like the pressures of a first round pick have got to be insane.
Oof. Yes. Got to, especially with all every the hype surrounding you, the money that's owed to you. Yeah, dude. So like, let's say this $9,721,000 is the slot value for the number one pick this year, as I've said. Let's say after taxes, let's just use a round number, you get 5 million, right? So let's
Mm-hmm.
say 4.721 is you're owed it, you got to owe for taxes, and you get 5 million. So let's say you get 5 million after taxes, man. You put half of that away, and you forget about half of that, and you live off of the remaining 2.5 million. You put 2.5 away where you can't touch it, and just forget about it for a couple years, right? And then like if there's a need for something, right, you can kind of open the conversation back up. But dude, you can put half of that away and just let that gain and compound, and who knows, man? Who's to say how long that takes until it doubles?
Well,
You know,
you're an advisor right now. What is it? They say you need to be 3 million to retire, right?
I
And
mean,
you're
if you were going to retire hopefully by 50, right, there's obviously different ideas of the magic number you would need to retire by the time you're 50, right, living an ordinary life, not overspending, not being an
yeah,
idiot. They say if you can live on and draw 4% of your the money you have for retirement, you can make it last. It's like, dude, if you can get to that 3.2 $3.5 million number, you can probably retire early. Hopefully,
yeah.
right?
And the whole
Hopefully,
point of that
obviously,
is that kid can do that. I mean, his money can double, grow. He could invest in some crazy stock and live off the dividends of $60,000 a year, eighty thousand
there's
dollars a
people
year
that'll
from
do that
yeah,
for him, dude. Yeah, like that are qualified to help him do that. But it's like, dude, you got that life changing money off the rip, dude.
yeah,
Off the rip, dude. So if it's me, if it's my kid, I am, you know, trying to have him put that money, half of that money away. Forget about it. Like, don't need it in 10, 15 years, maybe. Like, see what it's worth. But dude, you can get by on two and a half. The other half of that, you can get by on that. You and your family can get by on that for multiple years if you're not an idiot.
yeah. What people don't realize too is like he's getting after taxes and everything $5 million, but then he's still getting a salary.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
mean,
So
he's
it's not
still
like
going to
you're
get
not making
yeah,
anything yearly. Then after that, right? You might be getting like 20 to 40 grand, right? Depending on where you're at in the minor leagues. But like, you think about the endorsements you're also going to get. You're going to get rookie card
yeah.
deals. You're going to get deals from Nike, right? Being the number one pick, dude, you pick and choose what you want to be sponsored by. You pick
Yeah, you
and
get
choose.
Nike bucks and
Oh,
I remember
yeah,
Danny would get golf clubs with Nike bucks and be like, "Hey, I'm doing an order. Do you want like anything from Nike?" I get $5,000 a year from Nike, and I was like, "What?" Okay.
dude.
David
You're
Dahl, a guy with the Rockies, did like a top signing thing and got $120,000. Took
yeah.
us out that night.
You can,
I'm like,
man.
"You just what?"
You can live. You can live. You can live. If you can be smart with the money and live. That's what I would, tell my kid. I would immediately put half away, and then make a long term 10, 15 year roadmap with that remaining two and a
Yeah.
half million dollars. You can do that. You can do
How
that.
do you, I mean, it's hard. That's why you need to have a guy like a father or a financial advisor or something like that that's
Yes,
going to be that rock because a 20-year-old kid, I mean, I didn't care about any of that stuff. I just wanted to play baseball. But nowadays, I mean, minor league teams are paying for rent. They're paying to put you up. I mean, that 20, 30, 40 grand or whatever you make a season goes a lot longer now.
for sure, for sure.
I
If you're not
mean,
an idiot,
yeah.
dude, you. You can make it work. 100%. And you got another 2.5 behind you just chilling. So set for
Yeah.
life, dude. But yeah, man, that's all I got, dude. You got anything else you want to touch on? You good?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I mean, I think this is information that people can help, and I just enjoy having these conversations.
So do I, bro. So do I, dude. So look forward to doing another one next weekend, man. And appreciate you making time on the Sunday, and I appreciate you guys tuning in, man. So thank you guys.
Sure, thank you.
Wow.